This episode of Midco Sports Magazine is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
I get it. I do. I get it that if canceling this NCAA tournament can save one life, then it's well worth it.
Hello, welcome to Midco Sports Magazine. March 23rd, 2020, and strange times for everybody as the world deals with the threat of the coronavirus pandemic. And the sports world doing its part to help mitigate the spread of the virus. The NCAA canceling the year-end basketball and hockey championships, impacting several teams in our little part of the world. The Summit League and the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference, spring sports like golf and track and baseball and softball, with seasons that normally run through the end of May, all of those seasons canceled. High school sports seasons in North Dakota and South Dakota and Minnesota on hold for the moment. Everybody with a similar story, but everybody with a different perspective. And this week we are going to focus on our local Division I teams that qualified for the postseason but won't get the chance to compete. University of South Dakota women's basketball, North Dakota State University men's basketball. And we start with hockey at the University of North Dakota. Here's Alex Heinert.
When you step inside Ralph Engelstad Arena, there's much that captures your attention. But the most prized items in the home of North Dakota hockey aren't the cherrywood seats or the largest jumbotron in the college game. It's the 25 championship banners that adorn the rafters. 17 are white, symbolic of conference titles won, while 8 are green, representative of the national championship teams the program has produced. UND raised the pair of banners most recently in 2016, and they'd already locked up another white one in 2020 after a record-breaking regular season.
North Dakota are your Penrose Cup champs!
Ranked number 1 and crowned regular season champions in the top conference in college hockey, North Dakota was poised to make a run at a 9th national title this spring, a number that would tie the NCAA record.
Looking at how they would go into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, having the last line change, dictating matchups, they were going to be in fantastic position for the postseason. And they were the odds-on favorite in Vegas. And if I had to put percentage-wise, I wasn't going to bet against these guys.
But on Wednesday, March 11th, 2 days before UND's postseason was set to begin, everything changed. Increased concern about the coronavirus pandemic threatened sport around the globe, with no one immune in the end, including college hockey.
There was rumblings about playing the games without fans in the stands, and said, all right, if we have to do that, let's do it. And, I wish our fans were here, but we got to keep moving forward. And then after that, they just said, nope, no games at all.
The NCAA had tweeted out that they had canceled their postseason play, and all of us were just kind of, just devastated. To just have it taken from you was really, it was just so abrupt, so sudden. None of us, we weren't prepared.
The pace at the developments was absolutely stunning. I mean, it seemed every hour it was going in more and more, the wrong direction for the sporting world and maybe the right direction for humanity to try to get this under control.
We ended up having a team meeting later that afternoon around 4:30, and it was very emotional in the fact that was probably the one last time we got our guys together, just because of the, everybody disbanding and going their separate ways because of the virus.
You could tell they were crushed, especially the seniors. They took it really, really hard. The seniors got up and talked to the underclassmen and had some pretty powerful messages to them.
I remember saying we had a great chance this year, boys, just don't take anything for granted, because life happens sometimes, and cherish what you have when you can. I'll never forget this year for what we had. I've never seen so many just equal contributions from guys, and I think that's what just separated this team from some of the others I've been on, is how happy we were for people to step up and win it, and then the next night it was another person, and how happy we were for them.
The cancellation of the season ended the title dreams of 27 players who had put themselves in position to join an exclusive group of champions.
Everything that we asked of them to do, they accomplished. They checked every box that we had. Get home ice for playoffs, they did that. We ended up winning the Penrose, they did that. They were the number 1 in pairwise in Karch rankings at the end of the year, which gave us the number 1 seed in the tournament. They did that. Everything they had in their control, they accomplished. The only thing that we didn't was win a national championship, and that was not in their control.
It shouldn't have went down that way for this team. It's tough that it had to be like that, but at the end of the day, it was the right move and it had to be done that way.
It was a season that ended for reasons that had nothing to do with hockey. So the question now remains, how do you honor a team that did everything right, but never got their shot to win it all? In a recent column, Brad Schlossman proposed raising a black banner in the Ralph to ensure this team wouldn't be overlooked while signifying the difficult circumstances that ended the season.
I know banners are reserved for some special teams that win it all. For a black banner to be raised, I mean, I don't know, that remains to be seen. I don't know if I'm qualified to have an opinion on that.
Whether a unique banner to symbolize the season will hang in the REA rafters next year is yet to be decided. Either way, we'll always wonder what could have been for this UND team, who should be remembered as one of the best in program history, even if they never got the chance to earn the banner they wanted most.
I think people will always debate whether they would have won or not.
Maybe we would have, maybe we wouldn't have. So there's always going to be that doubt. But at the end of the day, this team lost 5 games this year and went 18-1 at home. So it's definitely, a group that should be remembered.
Even though that we don't hang that green banner as a national championship, we think of them as champions in our eyes. They added to their tradition, they left it in a better place.
The season may be over for North Dakota hockey, but the team's time in the national spotlight is not. Brad Berry was just named National Coach of the Year by the USCHO for the second time in his coaching career, while junior forward Jordan Kawaguchi is one of 10 finalists for the sport's most prestigious individual honor, the Hobie Baker Award, with the winner set to be announced on April 10th.
Well, up next, would have been fun to see how far the Coyotes could have run in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Some perspective on the lost season for USD when we come back.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Midco Mag, the lost season. I am Jay Elson. The University of South Dakota women's basketball team was one for the ages this season, one that seemed not only capable, but likely to make a real run in the NCAA tournament. That was obviously a big goal for the Coyotes, but it was actually the Summit League tournament that held the top spot on their preseason wish list. Needless to say, their triumph in Sioux Falls means even more now.
It's in, the horn sounds, and South Dakota wins the Summit League tournament, 63-58, and the elusive Summit League tournament title is headed back to Vermillion for the first time since 2014.
That was the moment that one coach and 4 seniors finally caught the one thing they'd been chasing.
And the 3-time Summit League Coach of the Year will finally hoist the Summit League tournament trophy.
Dawn Plitzawhite, Kira Duffy, Taylor Frederick, Madison McKeever, and Megan Bonar were the backbone to a program that won 110 games over their 4 years together, including an astounding 55 of 62 Summit League contests. The Coyotes also claimed a pair of regular season championships and an at-large berth in the 2019 NCAA tournament. But this day, March 10th, 2020, and that trophy would, for all intents and purposes, be the final piece to an everlasting legacy.
This group has tackled this from June, and this has been a motivating factor for them, and so to see them rewarded with this is pretty special.
I mean, it hasn't really sunk in yet. I mean, I think we're still just kind of on the high from the game, but I mean, it like I said, it's kind of something that's been eluding us for a really long time. I mean, I've never done this in my 4 years here, so for this group to accomplish this in my and the seniors' final Summit League run is really special.
It feels incredible. I don't know if there's any words right now to describe how we're all feeling. There's so many emotions going around, and we're all just enjoying this moment right here because we've all put in so much work for this, and we just want to enjoy this moment.
It's pretty unreal. I know for us seniors especially, we've come to this point 2-3 times now and come up close, but it feels great to finally come out with a win, that buzzer go off, and see that we're ahead of SDSU.
What no one knew then was that a different kind of opponent was about to claim its own championship moment. The coronavirus was no longer someone else's problem. It was officially a global pandemic, which would ultimately force the sports world into a number of difficult and unprecedented decisions. including, unfortunately, the cancellation of all remaining winter and spring championships by the NCAA. With that, some 48 hours after they cut down the nets at the Denny Sanford Premier Center in Sioux Falls, the Coyotes' dream season, which featured 30 wins, Summit League perfection, as well as regular season and tournament titles, was over. That triggered emotional and heartfelt responses from both Plitzowite and athletic director David Herbster.
Our women's basketball just completed a historic run in the Summit League to earn their right to the NCAA tournament, and now they can't experience that. Nothing's going to take away what they accomplished this year. Nothing's going to take away the joy, the satisfaction, the accomplishments, but it certainly leaves a little bit of an empty or at least loose ends hanging out there.
We've had an incredible time. This group of young ladies loved each other, they trusted each other, they worked their tails off, they continued to improve throughout the course of the season. We had so much fun together. I can tell you that I don't think there's another team in the country that danced more, sang more, celebrated their teammates' successes at a higher level. This group is incredibly, incredibly special. And while it hurts that our season now has come to an end, it shouldn't take away from all of the things that this group of young ladies has accomplished. They've done things on the basketball court that are historic for our team and for our program and for our university.
And finally, to those seniors, and the farewell that hardly seems fitting.
What those 4 young ladies have done for this program and for our university is something that has left a legacy. It's something that, as a program, we are going to continue to work to uphold on a daily basis. To those 4 young ladies, we love you, and we're going to miss you, and we're going to miss you like crazy. It is hard that this is the end of your senior year, but when we have a chance to get back together with Coyote Nation, whatever that time is, we are going to celebrate you, and we're going to celebrate the things that you have done on the court and off the court.
Now, South Dakota's historic season has been well documented in the polls. The Coyotes closed a run of 16 straight weeks in the USA Today Coaches Poll at number 11. That's the highest ever ranking for a team from the Summit League. But that was just the start. USD also secured a spot in the final Associated Press Top 25, finishing 17th, and also came in at number 1 in both the College Insider and ESPNW mid-major polls.
Up next, NDSU men's basketball. The Bison won another Summit League title this year, but won't get a shot to win another NCAA tournament game. Brian Shawn talks with Dave Richmond and Malik Harden-Hayes about the impact of the sudden end to the season for North Dakota State.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Midco Sports Magazine, the lost season. After the North Dakota State men's basketball team earned the program's 5th bid to the NCAA tournament, the celebration turned to silence. The events over the next 48 hours were significant as the big dance went from no spectators to no games at all, a feeling of emptiness. I had a chance to sit down with Bison head coach David Richmond and freshman forward Malik Harden-Hayes 1 week after winning the Summit League championship. It's been a week now that we're taping this since the Summit League championship. Does it felt a lot longer than that to each of you guys?
For sure, it's felt really long, just not being able to, be with my brothers, being able to hoop. Every day just gets longer than the next one. So yeah, it's been pretty tough and pretty long for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As we're filming this here, Brian, it hasn't even been a full week since we played against the University of North Dakota in that championship game to go to the NCAA tournament, yet it feels almost like a month. And I just think you get so accustomed to being around a group of guys, your family, like Malik said, your brothers, and to have that just taken from you so quick without that closure that you thought you were going to have. It's been difficult. It makes it longer.
When the Ivy League canceled their tournament, I think they were the first one. Did you get a sense maybe that more was coming, or did you not think anything of it at the time?
Yeah, as you go back and look at the timeline, I think there was 2 really impactful things, Brian. And number 1 was that Ivy League. When they did it, it comes on everybody's radar. Should we be doing this? If we don't do this and something happens, or what is our liability to that too. The thing that came reality was Wednesday night when Rudy Gobert tested positive. For our guys, you see it, and from their perspective, it's somebody out in California, or it's 100 people over in China that have it. That doesn't really register on your radar, and that's no offense to those people. But when an NBA player gets it, and you have 18 to 23-year-old college basketball players, and that becomes now a reality that they can get it, then things become, like I said 100 times here, reality.
Yeah, for sure. With the NBA season canceling, it's like, okay, should we be doing this? Should we be hooping? And that's what's like tough about playing basketball. Everyone's touching each other. Everyone's getting their hands on everything. So for the NCAA to cancel the season, that was pretty big for us too. We got together as a family Thursday at 2 and kind of talked about some of these things, and we talked about what was maybe going to be the inevitable of not even playing the tournament, and then an hour and a half later, when everybody had scattered, when we heard the news on social media, you're not together as a family. And that's the part that's difficult as a head coach. You're supposed to have answers. You're their leader. You're supposed to point them in the next direction. And I didn't have those, and that hurt.
Did you at least feel some sense of thankfulness that you did get your conference tournament in? You did get that moment on the stage with the Summit League tournament and trophy with the guys, knowing so many other conference tournaments didn't even get a game in?
Absolutely, and I think we earned this. There's teams out there who might have been a 1 seed in their conference tournament, or there's other other leagues where the 4th seed were still hoping, they were still holding out hope. But we earned the right, and that's what I'm most pleased with. And to be able to hold our full conference tournament, the timing of that, right? There was something special behind that to have fans there. To be able to just simply play the games in front of all those fans. I mean, it was special, and that's something that you can never take away from us. And certainly disappointed in so many ways, shapes, and forms, but this group is going to go out as champions the way this group should go out.
Malik, I noticed you tweeted something out because I think you felt extra bad for the seniors. Vinny Sheet, Tyson Ward, Jared Samuelson, Chris Quayle gave their heart and soul to this program over whether it's 2, 3, 4 years. Try to console them has got to be extremely difficult, knowing that's the way it ends for them now. Granted, it was with a win, but I think they felt like they had something else to prove.
Yeah, I think for sure. Those seniors, they put so much hard work and dedication into the NDSU program, and for a guy like me, a freshman that looks up to them, to see their season just snap like that, it sucks, and my heart goes out to them. And but I know that we're all grateful that we were even able to finish our Summit League tournament, because a lot of teams around the country didn't even get to play theirs for those seniors as well.
Hypotheticals, that's what everybody keeps talking about now because there's nothing else going on. Do you think they should have released a bracket? Do you think they maybe should have postponed and looked at it in a month? There's a lot of different ways that the NCAA could have done this. Obviously, the way everything has transpired, certainly it seems secondary, but would you guys have been in favor of that?
From a player standpoint, I would just love to just find some way to play, whether that's, late time, sometime May, or postpone it sometime. Just get another opportunity, just play with my brothers, play with my guys. Would just been so grateful.
I agree. I would have loved for it to have been a week later, a month later. But I get it. I do. I get it that if canceling this NCAA tournament can save one life, then it's well worth it. I understand the logistics of things are set, and people and buildings and what's next. I get the NCAA and the cost that's going to be lost at all of these things, and I know for a fact that they would have explored every single option. But we're sitting here today, Brian. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what next week brings. But again, I want to say loud and clear, we all, and I know Malik, myself, our entire team, we support this decision from a standpoint that if this is the right thing to do from a country's perspective and to save one life, then absolutely. From the bracket standpoint, I just think we're starting to get into hypotheticals again. Yeah, I mean, you can see some people got us as a 15 against Florida State, 15 against Kentucky, going to St. Louis, going here, there, whatever. It's fun to think about. It really is. And I'm proud to know, again, that this group, that we earned the right to be involved in those conversations and that bracket we were in. But there's a lot of other schools that it would have just been hypothetical too. So I appreciate the NCAA's perspective. I really do. It's a tough deal all around.
As mentioned, it was also the end of the road for 4 NDSU seniors, including point guard Vinny Shahid, who sent me this message from Minneapolis.
everything that's going on is, is tough, especially being a senior and, working so hard to get to the tournament and, there being so much more left in the tank for our team. It's always a very tough when something gets taken away from you like that you love and but you try to think that everything happens for a reason and so you try to move on and try to see the good out of it, even though it really feels like there's only bad, but you try to see the good out of it and you kind of just try to move on day by day, and the more days that go on, you accept it a little more.
A tough pill to swallow, obviously, but as we all have come to realize, there are much bigger and more important things in our country right now.
All right, we're joined now by Andy Gilliam, is a sports performance specialist at Sanford Health. And I think your job is to put together the physical and the mental side of sports performance. Is that hitting it?
Yeah, that's my academic and applied background is both mental and physical side.
All right, let's talk about this first. You can say it's just sports, right? And it's not that important, but it is to a lot of people. And our players and coaches and even fans, justified, I guess, is the word, in feeling a little mad or sad or have some of the blues right now.
Sure, it's part of sport, and it's part of our culture in American society, how we view sport, how important it is, how much time we spend, how much money we spend, how much effort, how much care we give to our fandom.
Can you take that to a certain extent, though? Is there a point in time where you say, all right, I need to get past feeling down about this?
Well, if that's where your coping mechanism is, then no, let's find a way. I mean, some of the esports have kicked up in importance and simulating games, and there's all kinds of information out there on simulated NCAA March Madness and who actually would have won and what the point totals were, who lost on the last second buzzer beater. So there's still coping mechanisms out there.
If you need to get your fix, so to speak, get your fix. Huh?
Correct. But with the real sad part of it, it's you got to own your feelings and really understand, hey, I am really missing this.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to think that maybe I put a little too much emphasis on this, or maybe it was in the right spot and I'm really just missing my coping spot.
All right, seasons end all the time by injury, things like that. Most teams lose their last game when you're talking about a high school tournament or an NCAA tournament, whatever. But is there any advice that, in general, that you can give to kids that are coping with their seasons coming to an end by no fault of their own, really?
Yeah, the first thing is I'd ask, be real clear on what it is you're missing. Are you missing the camaraderie of the team? Are you missing the system of a coach and a player and a role to fill? Are you just missing time? Are you missing, hey, what do I do with my day? How do I spend my energy? Are you missing with the physical exertion, the coping, the competition? Are you missing with the cheering crowds? Are you missing that part of who you are, sort of thing?
Kind of identify that and then go and, like we just said, kind of get your fix that way.
Yeah, if you're missing camaraderie, then I know social distancing, but we want to find a way, how can we still be connected with people then? If you're missing the physical output, then go for a run, get some push-ups in, do something. We've got a bunch of great power videos out there about how to help folks working out when they can't get to facilities.
All right. And everything is on hold right now for just so many people, but is it okay if you're an athlete right now to mentally at least disengage for a period of time and not feel like you're missing out on something or that you're falling behind? Is that maybe a healthy thing to some of that disengagement?
Absolutely, not just mentally either. A lot of our athletes, high school and college, have been at this for 10, 12, 15 years sometimes. They can physically take a break as well and get their body a little relaxed time. All the overuse injuries, all the burnout, all those pieces, both physical and mental. As you said, both are my background. So the reality is we can take that break, and most athletes right now are taking that break because facilities are shut down across the country, across the world in a lot of cases. So everyone is in the same canoe at that point.
Yeah, it's distancing, but there is kind of a community feel that everybody's doing the same thing. And we don't know when it's going to end, but you literally have to mentally go day by day at this point, right?
Yeah, right. A couple really smart people, way smarter than I, have said, hey, all decisions have sort of a 24-hour expiration mark on them right now. We do the best we can with what we've got, and then we wake up tomorrow and reassess and see what else we've got going on. So yeah, we don't have control of our schedule in a long-term sense, can't plan for it. So find something today that you can do.
All right, appreciate you and all your health professionals, everything you're doing right now. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Join us next week for another Lost Season episode of Midco Sports Magazine.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.